What's so special about you, boy?
Why don't you come find out?
Face reveal. So as a longtime One Piece fan, I can safely say that this show is f***ing weird. But it's still the best live action adaptation I've ever seen from Netflix for so many reasons. But before we get started, I've gotta talk about the huge sea beast in the room. The writing. This great cast really gets bogged down by the same old Netflix formula. And though some changes were good, others were just kinda trash. And here's what I mean. Each and every person felt like the characters they were trying to portray, but since they weren't trying to emulate them one-to-one like some other adaptations.
Bounty!
What?
Fat man's big rewards!
Boy, if you don't...
It felt more like a breath of fresh air than anything, except for this crap. For example, Luffy's actor and his little accent was great. Like, I loved all the accents in the show. I like how childish he is, but he feels almost smarter than Luffy from the anime. You completely understand why he's so different compared to the rest of the pirates in the world. And that's because of his purity. And not because he doesn't drink either, but because he chooses these quote-unquote childish ideals, like chasing your dreams, and lives by them. And in the process, he makes you believe that you can do the same. He makes everyone he interacts with see more within themselves, just like Luffy does in the anime. And that's pretty cool. Everyone else captures their respective spirits too for the most part, but with some annoying changes. Like Zoro and his ambition. Just like the show, he's more stern and serious. He's all about his goal, and he doesn't hide the fact that he's killed multiple people. But despite all that, he still fights for the people that can't fight for themselves, and he's loyal. He's a good person at the end of the day. But here's where the writing comes in, because I hate the fact that he's so outward about being a pirate hunter. My boy Josh pointed out that he never once said he was a pirate hunter in the manga. That was just a name given to him because while training to be the best swordsman, he had to eat somehow, you know? So bringing in bounties were just a means to an end. He never really cared about his profession, only his goal. He was simple like that, just like Luffy. Not only that, but Zoro knew he was the first mate since day one. But in this, he didn't really join the crew until right before he went after Nami, which I didn't like either. It literally took Nami telling him that he was the first mate to know that he was the first mate. When in the anime, he knew from day one, you know? In the manga and anime, he always kept Luffy in line, and he knew what it took to be a real pirate crew. Nami though was perfect. Like, I think she was amazing, even without the... I'll admit it was weird that she just had an unnatural hatred towards rich people, because I don't think she was like that in the anime, but honestly I don't really care. They did Usopp dirty though, dude, because again, the actor's legit. Like, I liked him a lot in the role, but he's basically a nepotism baby. The literal only reason why he joined the crew outside of him shooting some random pots is because his father was on Shanks' crew. And that's it. He didn't do anything in the fight with Kudo, which sucks because in the anime he was the scariest dude. But he showed that despite how weak he was, he will never give up when it comes to his friends. He'll die before you lay a hand on someone he cares about. And that's why he became a Straw Hat. In this though, he didn't really do anything to deserve it. Like, he just got a free ride and a kiss from a sickly but pretty girl. Same thing with Sanji, but to a lesser degree. His backstory was perfect. Like, the change with Zeph eating his own leg to survive like in the manga instead of him cutting it off to save Sanji is more realistic, and it fits in with Sanji's reason for feeding anyone that needs help. It was a great change in my opinion. Sanji's flirting was there, but it was toned down and it wasn't cringy, which is a plus. My only thing is that it kind of felt like he joined the crew out of convenience instead of him really understanding Luffy and what he's about like he did in the anime. But they also did show that as well, it just didn't take as long, so it's really due to time constraints, which it is what it is with that. So Zoro, Nami, and Sanji joining the crew was good and realistic, but Usopp not so much. My biggest issue though is freaking Garp. Like, him and Kobe had way too much screen time. Like, what the f was he doing chasing Luffy as obsessively as he was? He just came across as annoying and overbearing. What's so cool about Garp is that he loves Luffy and Ace a lot, but who he was and his code, you know, like what he stood by, is the reason why he sided with the Marines. He believes that saving people is the ultimate goal, and during his time, the Marines were the only thing that stood in the way between the criminals of the world. But after Garp interacted with Roger enough, he saw that not all pirates are bad. And since he knew Luffy so much, at the end of the day he had faith in him, even though he hated the fact that he became a pirate. So he wasn't as obsessive, and he still did his job while living life the way he wanted to. In this though, he just becomes so hellbent that it's like he doesn't care about the people he swore to protect. Plus, he was just way too buddy-buddy with Kobe a little too soon. Like, I almost started to side with Helmeppo for a little bit, which is something that should never happen. But I also think that was due to time constraints as well. Last thing I didn't like were some of Luffy's fights. Like, the fight with Arlong was kind of, at least in the beginning, but that's just because of like restrictions and like stuff like that. It's hard to make a fight like this. On the big screen, you know? Gum Gatling was cool though, and same thing with Battle Axe. But before that, it was kind of like some teddy bear punches. Other than that though, the story did a lot of things I liked. Bringing Arlong to the Baratier was something I never knew I wanted to see. Like seeing him interact with everybody in the Baratier about like racism and stuff like that was cool. Mihawk looked really good in his fight with Don Krieg, which by the way, both of them, 10 out of 10. Them two and Buggy, oh, Buggy, oh my god. What's so cool is that we never got to see Mihawk and Don Krieg fight in the manga or the anime. So it was pretty cool that we got to see that here, of all places. Mihawk versus Zoro looked perfect, and I really liked Shanks and his crew. I didn't like the shoes though. There were some weird things like Nami's sister. I'll admit it was a little jarring to see her. I feel weird saying it, but like, it's only because she's darker than me with the bluest hair ever. And like, I don't know, it was weird at first to see, but I got used to it pretty quickly, and I like the actor and everything like that. Overall, this show is pretty freaking good. And that's because at the end of the day, it captures One Piece's spirit. You know, like I felt nostalgic just watching it. And that's because Oda had a big hand on this. It's super inspiring, and it's definitely the best live action adaptation I've ever seen so far. Now granted, the bar isn't really that high, but it still definitely deserves its praise, because I have nothing but respect for all of the people that worked on this show. Like, the special effects and the CGI looked amazing. The CGI looked way better than the Flash, which is crazy to me, but still great. Yeah, that's about it for the review. I didn't want it to be too long, so I just wanted to give you exactly what I liked and didn't like. That's just how I do things. Oh yeah, and subscribe. If you're a nerd, I am too, dude. Like, we're connected. No homo. So yeah, we're in this together, man. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.